Every great spiritual master throughout history knew something that modern seekers have forgotten. They understood that your life isn't random, that your challenges aren't accidents, and that your deepest desires aren't wishful thinking. They're all clues pointing to something far more profound, a cosmic blueprint that governs how reality responds to your consciousness. I discovered this destiny code during my deepest spiritual experiences, and once you understand it, you'll never see your life the same way again. In the next 45 minutes, you'll discover the exact spiritual science behind your personal destiny code, the unique vibrational frequency that determines how life responds to your consciousness. You'll learn the ancient method for identifying your soul's blueprint, understanding why certain experiences keep repeating in your life, and most importantly, how to align with your code so completely that obstacles transform into opportunities and resistance melts into flow. This isn't about positive thinking or manifestation techniques. This is about recognizing the cosmic intelligence that's been guiding your life all along and learning to consciously participate in its unfoldment. I know what you're thinking, Yogananda. I've tried so many spiritual practices, read countless books, attended workshops and retreats, but I still feel like I'm missing something fundamental about how to create the life my soul is calling for. I understand completely. For years, I watched sincere seekers pour their hearts into spiritual practice, only to feel frustrated when their outer circumstances didn't reflect their inner growth. They were doing everything right, but something essential was missing. That's because most spiritual teachings focus on techniques and practices, but they don't address the deeper truth that every soul incarnates with a specific mission, a unique way of serving the evolution of consciousness. And until you discover and align with that purpose, you'll always feel like you're living someone else's life instead of your own. Today's journey will illuminate 6 profound truths about your destiny code. First, I'll reveal the spiritual science of soul blueprints and why understanding your code is the missing key to everything you've been seeking. Then we'll explore the 3 types of destiny codes and how to identify which one governs your life's unfoldment. We'll dive deep into the signs that indicate when you're aligned with your code versus when you're fighting against it, because the universe is constantly giving you feedback, but most people don't know how to read the signals. I'll share the ancient practice for activating your destiny code and the specific steps to maintain that alignment even when life gets challenging. We'll discuss how your personal code serves the collective evolution of consciousness and why discovering your purpose isn't selfish, it's essential for planetary healing. Finally, I'll guide you through a direct experience of connecting with your soul's blueprint, because this isn't just intellectual understanding, it's a living transmission that can shift your entire reality. But here's what surprised me most in my own journey. Once you truly understand your destiny code, you realize you've been living it all along, just unconsciously. Today, we make it conscious. Now, here's something that will probably challenge everything you've been taught about how reality works. Most people believe that consciousness is something that happens inside their brain, that thoughts are private mental events, and that the physical world operates independently of their inner state. But what I'm about to share will reveal why this mechanistic view of existence keeps you trapped in struggle and separation, while understanding the true nature of consciousness opens the doorway to effortless manifestation and profound purpose. There are 2 types of people navigating life right now. One group treats existence like a random series of events that happen to them. They react to circumstances, try to control outcomes through force and strategy, and wonder why their deepest desires remain frustratingly out of reach, despite their best efforts. The other group has discovered something that changes everything. They understand that consciousness isn't produced by matter, but that matter is crystallized consciousness. And when you align with your soul's unique frequency, you begin to consciously participate in creating reality itself. The difference? They've discovered what ancient wisdom traditions have always taught, that every soul incarnates with what I call a destiny code, a specific vibrational blueprint that determines how cosmic intelligence expresses itself through your unique perspective and experiences. Getting this wrong means you'll spend your entire life swimming against the current of your own nature, pursuing goals that feel empty when achieved, struggling to force doors open that were never meant for you, and wondering why other people seem to have all the luck while you work twice as hard for half the results. You'll chase external validation, accumulate achievements and possessions, master spiritual techniques, but still feel a gnawing emptiness because you're living from your conditioned personality instead of your authentic soul essence. But understand your destiny code, and everything changes. Suddenly, the right opportunities appear at exactly the right time. Relationships become mirrors that reflect your highest potential back to you. Challenges transform from obstacles into stepping stones that accelerate your spiritual evolution. Most importantly, you stop trying to become someone else and start expressing who you've always been at the deepest level, because your destiny code isn't something you acquire. It's something you remember and consciously embody. This understanding is rooted in what the ancient rishis called swadharma, your unique sacred duty or soul purpose. But they knew something that modern spirituality has largely forgotten. Your destiny code isn't just about finding your life's work or discovering your talents. It's about recognizing that your individual consciousness is a specific ray of cosmic consciousness. And when you align with that ray completely, you become a conscious co-creator in the universal intelligence that's orchestrating the evolution of all life. Think of it like this. Imagine the universe as a vast radio transmitter broadcasting infinite frequencies of love, wisdom, creativity, healing, and truth. Your soul is like a radio receiver that's specifically designed to pick up one particular frequency more clearly than any other. When you're tuned to your correct frequency, your destiny code, the signal comes through crystal clear, and your life becomes a beautiful expression of that cosmic quality. But when you're tuned to the wrong station, trying to live someone else's code or following society's expectations instead of your soul's calling, you get nothing but static and interference. I discovered this truth during what I can only describe as the most profound spiritual experience of my life. I was deep in meditation, having spent months questioning why my spiritual practices felt so effortful, why I kept encountering the same patterns and challenges despite years of sincere seeking. In that moment of complete surrender, something extraordinary happened. My individual sense of self dissolved, and I experienced directly what the mystics call cosmic consciousness, the awareness that my personal identity was actually a specific expression of universal intelligence. But here's what changed everything for me. In that state of expanded awareness, I could perceive what I now understand as destiny codes, these luminous blueprints of purpose that every soul carries. I saw that my struggles weren't signs of spiritual failure. They were actually the friction that occurs when you're not aligned with your true frequency. Every frustration, every repeated pattern, every unfulfilled desire was my soul's way of trying to get my attention, pointing me toward my authentic expression. The ancient Vedic texts describe this as svadharma, literally one's own dharma or sacred duty. But dharma isn't just about following moral principles or fulfilling social obligations. It's about recognizing that your individual existence serves a specific function in the cosmic order, like a single note in an infinite symphony. When you're playing your correct note, expressing your destiny code, you create harmony not just in your own life, but in the entire web of existence. This is why the Buddha taught that enlightenment isn't about escaping the world, but about discovering your right relationship to it. Jesus spoke of finding the narrow path that leads to life abundant. Krishna instructed Arjuna to fulfill his dharma without attachment to results. They were all pointing to the same fundamental truth, that lasting peace and fulfillment come not from getting what you want, but from becoming who you truly are. Modern science is actually beginning to validate what these ancient masters intuited. Quantum physics has revealed that consciousness and matter are intimately connected, that the observer affects the observed, and that reality is far more fluid and responsive to awareness than our materialist worldview suggests. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions aren't contained within your individual brain. They're part of a vast field of consciousness that influences and is influenced by everything around you. But here's where it gets really profound. Your destiny code isn't just your personal frequency, it's the specific way that cosmic intelligence wants to know and express itself through your unique perspective. When you align with this code, you're not just improving your own life, you're allowing the universe to evolve and expand through your conscious participation in its unfoldment. This is why discovering and living your destiny code is both the most personal and the most universal work you can do. It's personal because no one else can express your particular ray of cosmic consciousness. And it's universal because when you embody your authentic self completely, you serve the highest good of all life, even when you can't see how your individual expression contributes to the larger picture. Now, you might be wondering how to identify your specific destiny code. especially if you've spent years or even decades living from conditioned patterns rather than authentic soul expression. The beautiful truth is that your code has been trying to reveal itself your entire life through your spontaneous interests as a child, through the experiences that move you to tears, through the problems you feel compelled to solve, through the vision of a better world that you carry in your heart. What I discovered next changed everything about how I understood the practical application of this cosmic knowledge. Because while every soul carries a unique destiny code, these codes organize themselves into specific patterns that serve different functions in the evolution of consciousness. Understanding these patterns, what I call the three sacred codes, will help you identify not just what your purpose is, but how to live it in the most effective and fulfilling way possible. But here's where it becomes truly extraordinary. Once you understand which of the three sacred codes governs your soul's expression, you'll begin to see that every experience in your life, every relationship, every challenge, every opportunity has been perfectly designed to help you embody that code more fully. What seemed like random events or meaningless suffering suddenly reveals itself as an intelligent curriculum designed by your own soul to accelerate your spiritual evolution and prepare you for your unique service to the world. The ancient mystery schools understood this, which is why their teachings focused not just on meditation techniques or philosophical concepts, but on helping each student discover and embody their specific soul mission. They knew that when enough individuals are living from their authentic destiny codes, it creates what they called the Golden Age, a time when human civilization aligns with cosmic law and becomes a conscious expression of divine intelligence. This is exactly what's happening on our planet right now. We're in the midst of the greatest spiritual awakening in human history, and it's happening one soul at a time as individuals like you remember their destiny codes and begin living from their authentic essence. Your personal awakening isn't separate from planetary healing, it's an essential part of it. And this brings us to something absolutely crucial that most spiritual teachings miss completely. There are three distinct types of destiny codes, and understanding which one you carry will illuminate not just your life purpose, but the specific way your soul is designed to contribute to the collective evolution of consciousness. Each code has its own gifts, its own challenges, and its own perfect expression in service to the whole. The first is what I call the Creator Code. Souls who carry this frequency are here to manifest new realities, to bring into physical form what doesn't yet exist, to pioneer innovative solutions and birth original expressions of beauty, truth, and love into the world. If you're a Creator Code soul, you've probably always felt like you see possibilities that others miss, like you're here to build something that's never been built before. Creator Code souls are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the inventors, the visionaries who can't help but imagine how things could be better and then feel compelled to make those visions real. They're the ones who start movements, launch companies, write books that change people's lives, create art that opens hearts, and develop technologies that serve humanity's highest evolution. But here's what Creator Code souls often struggle with. They can get so focused on manifesting their visions that they forget to trust the process of creation itself. They try to control every detail, push against resistance instead of flowing with it, and sometimes burn themselves out trying to force their timeline instead of allowing divine timing to orchestrate the unfoldment of their work. The key for Creator Code souls is learning to be channels for cosmic creativity rather than the source of it. When you align with this understanding, ideas flow through you effortlessly, resources appear when you need them, and the right collaborators show up at exactly the right time. You stop trying to create from ego and start allowing creation to happen through you. The second sacred code is the Healer Code. These souls incarnate with a specific mission to transform suffering into wisdom, to help others remember their wholeness, and to serve as bridges between the world of separation and the truth of unity. If you carry the Healer Code, you've probably always been the person others turn to when they're struggling, even if you haven't formally trained in any healing modality. Healer Code souls are the therapists, the counselors, the energy workers, the doctors, the teachers who create safe spaces for transformation, but they're also the friends who know exactly what to say when someone's heart is breaking, the family members who hold space for others to grieve and grow, the co-workers who somehow make everyone around them feel more peaceful and centered. But Healer Code souls face unique challenges too. They're so naturally empathetic that they often absorb others' pain without realizing it, taking on emotional burdens that don't belong to them. They can become so focused on helping others that they neglect their own healing journey, or they might struggle with feeling responsible for fixing everyone around them. The secret for healer code souls is understanding that true healing doesn't come from you, it flows through you from the infinite source of love and wisdom that's always available. Your job isn't to heal people, it's to create the conditions where natural healing can occur, to hold space for others to remember their own inherent wholeness. The third destiny code is the teacher code. These souls are here to illuminate truth, to help others understand the deeper meaning of their experiences, and to serve as bridges between ancient wisdom and contemporary application. Teacher code souls are the ones who can take complex spiritual concepts and make them accessible, who see patterns and connections that others miss, who feel called to share knowledge not from ego but from genuine love for truth. If you carry the teacher code, you've probably always been naturally curious about how things work, fascinated by the deeper meaning behind surface events, and drawn to sharing insights that could help others understand themselves and their world more clearly. You might be a formal educator, a writer, a speaker, a mentor, or you might teach through your example, your presence, and your ability to ask the right questions at the right time. Teacher code souls often struggle with feeling like they have to know everything before they can share anything, or they might doubt whether their insights are valuable enough to offer to others. Sometimes they get caught in the trap of teaching from the mind instead of from lived experience, sharing concepts rather than embodying wisdom. The gift for teacher code souls is recognizing that teaching is really about learning together, that the most powerful teaching happens when you share from your authentic experience rather than from accumulated knowledge, and that your students often teach you as much as you teach them. Now, here's something really important to understand. While most souls have one primary destiny code, you might recognize aspects of all three within yourself. This is completely natural, because as your soul evolves, you often develop capacities from other codes to serve your primary mission more effectively. A creator code soul might develop healing abilities to better serve the people affected by their innovations. A healer code soul might develop teaching skills to share their insights more widely. A teacher code soul might develop creative abilities to make their wisdom more engaging and accessible. The key is identifying your primary code, the one that feels most natural, most energizing, most aligned with who you've always been deep down. This is the frequency you're designed to tune into most clearly, the note you're meant to play in the cosmic symphony. But understanding your destiny code is only half the journey. The other half is learning to recognize when you're aligned with your code versus when you're fighting against it, because the universe is constantly giving you feedback about your alignment, but most people don't know how to read the signals. Think of your life as a cosmic GPS system that's always recalculating your route to help you stay aligned with your highest path. When you're on course, expressing your authentic destiny code, the feedback is positive energy flows. Opportunities appear, relationships harmonize, and you feel a deep sense of rightness even when things are challenging. When you're off course, trying to live someone else's code or following fear instead of love, the feedback becomes increasingly uncomfortable until you pay attention and make the necessary corrections. The most obvious sign of alignment with your destiny code is what I call effortless effort. When you're working hard, but it doesn't feel like struggle. When challenges arise, but you meet them with creativity and resilience, rather than resistance and exhaustion. There's a quality of flow that happens when you're expressing your authentic self that makes even difficult tasks feel energizing rather than draining. Another powerful indicator is synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. When you're aligned with your destiny code, the universe begins orchestrating circumstances in ways that support your highest expression. The right book appears exactly when you need its message. A conversation with a stranger provides the missing piece to a puzzle you've been working on. Opportunities arise that seem tailored specifically for your unique gifts and interests. Pay attention to what I call resonance responses, those moments when something you hear, read, or experience creates an immediate recognition deep in your soul. It might be a teaching that makes you say, "Yes, that's exactly what I needed to understand," or a vision of service that makes your heart race with excitement. These aren't random reactions. They're your soul recognizing information or opportunities that align with your destiny code. But here's where many people get confused. Resistance isn't always a sign that you're off path. Sometimes the universe brings you experiences that challenge you specifically because they're designed to help you embody your destiny code more fully. The key is learning to distinguish between what I call ego resistance and growth resistance. Ego resistance feels contracted, fearful, and oriented toward avoiding discomfort or maintaining familiar patterns even when they no longer serve you. It's the voice that says, "I can't," "I'm not qualified," "What will people think?" or "It's safer to stay where I am." This kind of resistance usually indicates that you're being invited to step more fully into your authentic expression, and the ego is trying to keep you in your comfort zone. Growth resistance, on the other hand, feels expansive even though it might be uncomfortable. It's the resistance you feel when you're being called to develop new capacities, heal old wounds, or step into a bigger version of yourself. This resistance often comes with excitement underneath the fear, a sense that you're being invited into something meaningful, even though it requires courage to move forward. I learned this distinction powerfully during my own journey when I felt called to begin teaching publicly about these spiritual insights. My ego was terrified. Who am I to share this wisdom? What if people reject my message? What if I'm not qualified enough? But underneath that fear was an unmistakable excitement, a knowing that this expression was aligned with my teacher code, even though it required me to grow beyond my comfort zone. The universe also gives you feedback through your energy levels and emotional states. When you're aligned with your destiny code, you'll notice that you have more natural energy for the activities that serve your soul's mission, even if they require significant effort. Conversely, activities that take you away from your authentic expression will drain you quickly, no matter how successful or socially acceptable they might be. Watch for what I call energy amplifiers, those people, places, and activities that naturally increase your vitality and enthusiasm. These are often clues pointing toward your destiny code. Similarly, notice what consistently depletes you, what makes you feel heavy or contracted or disconnected from yourself. These experiences aren't necessarily bad, but they're probably not aligned with your soul's primary purpose. Your relationships also provide powerful feedback about your alignment. When you're expressing your destiny code authentically, you'll attract people who resonate with that frequency: collaborators, friends, romantic partners, and mentors who support and amplify your highest expression. Relationships that require you to dim your light, hide your gifts, or compromise your values are usually signals that you're not fully honoring your authentic self. But perhaps the most subtle and important feedback comes through what the ancients called divine discontent, that restless feeling that arises when your soul knows you're capable of more than you're currently expressing. This isn't the ego's dissatisfaction with circumstances. It's your soul's gentle insistence that you step more fully into your purpose. Many people try to silence this divine discontent through distractions, addictions, or simply accepting that this is just how life is. But this restlessness is actually sacred guidance, your inner wisdom pointing you toward the more authentic expression that's waiting to emerge through you. The key is learning to work with these feedback systems consciously rather than just reacting to them unconsciously. When you notice signs of misalignment, decreased energy, emotional heaviness, relationship conflicts, or that gnawing sense that something's missing, instead of pushing through or trying to fix the external circumstances, pause and ask yourself, how can I align more fully with my authentic expression right now? Sometimes the answer is a major life change: shifting careers, ending relationships that no longer serve, or moving to a new location that better supports your growth. But often, the realignment can begin with much subtler shifts, changing how you approach your current work, setting different boundaries in relationships, or simply making space for activities that feed your soul. Now, understanding these feedback systems is crucial, but it's only valuable if you know how to actually activate and maintain alignment with your destiny code. Most people think that discovering their purpose is enough, but activation requires specific practices that help you embody your code consistently, especially when life gets challenging or your old patterns try to reassert themselves. The ancient mystery schools develop precise methods for helping initiates not just understand their soul mission intellectually, but embody it so completely that it became their natural way of being in the world. What I'm about to share is one of these sacred practices, refined through my own direct experience and adapted for contemporary seekers who are serious about living their highest purpose. The first step in activating your destiny code is what I call soul recognition meditation. This isn't like traditional meditation where you try to empty your mind or focus on your breath. Instead, it's a specific practice for connecting directly with the essence of who you are, beyond all conditioning, roles, and identities. Begin by sitting quietly and allowing your attention to move inward, not trying to change anything but simply becoming aware of the awareness that's aware. Rest in that spacious presence that exists before thoughts arise and after they dissolve. From this place of pure consciousness, gently ask your soul this question: what is my unique gift to the world? Don't strain for an answer or try to figure it out mentally. Simply hold the question in your heart and notice what arises. It might be images, sensations, words, or just a knowing that you can't quite articulate yet. The key is learning to distinguish between authentic soul communication and mental projection. Authentic guidance from your soul has a quality of quiet certainty, of recognition rather than creation. It feels like remembering something you've always known rather than discovering something new. It often comes with a sense of rightness that transcends logical understanding. Mental projection, on the other hand, usually comes with effortful thinking, analyzing, or trying to figure out what you should want based on external expectations or past conditioning. These answers often feel forced or uncertain, like you're trying to convince yourself of something rather than simply recognizing what's true. Practice this soul recognition meditation daily, but don't expect dramatic revelations every time. Sometimes the guidance comes as subtle shifts in your perception, increased clarity about decisions you need to make, or simply a deeper sense of peace and self-acceptance. Trust that your soul is always communicating with you. You're simply learning to listen more clearly. The second essential practice is what I call alignment experiments. Once you begin receiving guidance about your destiny code, you need to test that understanding through practical action. This isn't about making dramatic life changes all at once, but about experimenting with small ways to express your authentic self more fully in your current circumstances. If you're discovering that you carry the creator code, look for opportunities to innovate and problem solve in your current work, even if your job isn't traditionally creative. Volunteer for projects that allow you to develop new approaches. Start a creative practice in your personal time. Share your ideas more openly with others who might benefit from your unique perspective. If you're recognizing the healer code within yourself, find ways to create healing space for others, whether that's through formal training in therapeutic modalities or simply being more present and compassionate in your daily interactions. Practice energy healing techniques. Learn to hold space for others' emotions without trying to fix or change them. If the teacher code resonates with you, look for opportunities to share knowledge and insights, whether through formal teaching, mentoring, writing, or simply being more willing to engage in meaningful conversations that help others understand themselves and their world more clearly. The key with alignment experiments is to start small and pay attention to the feedback you receive. Does this expression energize you or drain you? Do opportunities for this kind of service increase when you make yourself available? Do people respond positively to this aspect of your authentic self? Let your experience guide you toward increasingly authentic expression. The third crucial practice is what I call resistance integration. As you begin expressing your destiny code more fully, you'll inevitably encounter internal resistance, old fears, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and all the ways your conditioning tries to keep you small and safe. Rather than fighting this resistance or trying to power through it, learn to work with it consciously. When resistance arises, pause and get curious about what it's trying to protect. Often, our resistance carries important information about wounds that need healing, skills that need developing, or support that we need to cultivate before stepping into bigger expressions of our purpose. For example, if you feel called to share your gifts more publicly but encounter intense fear of judgment, that resistance might be pointing you toward healing work around self-worth or boundary setting. If you want to start a creative project but feel overwhelmed by the scope, the resistance might be guiding you to break the vision down into smaller, manageable steps. Work with resistance as a teacher rather than an enemy. Honor the wisdom in your caution while gently moving toward authentic expression. Sometimes this means seeking support through therapy, coaching, or spiritual guidance. Sometimes it means developing practical skills that increase your confidence. Sometimes it simply means taking smaller steps while building trust in your soul's guidance. The fourth practice is Code embodiment. Learning to live from your destiny code consistently rather than just occasionally. This means making choices throughout your day that align with your authentic self, even in small ways. It means speaking your truth with kindness, following your intuition about relationships and opportunities, and gradually reorganizing your life around what truly matters to your soul. Code embodiment isn't about perfection. It's about conscious alignment. There will be times when fear or conditioning pulls you off course temporarily. The goal isn't to never experience misalignment, but to notice it more quickly and return to authenticity with greater ease each time. Pay attention to the moments when you feel most alive and authentic, what you're doing, who you're with, how you're being in the world. These moments are showing you what full embodiment of your destiny code looks like. Practice extending these moments and creating more opportunities for this quality of authentic expression in your daily life. The final practice is what I call service integration, recognizing that your personal destiny code serves not just your individual fulfillment, but the evolution of consciousness itself. As you develop clarity about your unique gifts and begin expressing them more consistently, you'll naturally begin to see how your individual purpose fits into the larger tapestry of planetary healing and spiritual awakening. This understanding transforms your personal growth from self-centered development into sacred service. You're not just trying to feel better or achieve personal success. You're allowing cosmic intelligence to express itself through your unique perspective for the benefit of all life. When you hold this larger context, it becomes easier to move through fear and resistance because you recognize that your authentic expression serves something greater than your individual comfort or security. You're participating in the conscious evolution of humanity itself. But here's what makes this work both profound and practical. As you activate and embody your destiny code more fully, you'll begin to notice that your individual service naturally creates the life you've always desired. The ancient masters taught that when you align with Dharma, Artha, prosperity, Kama, pleasure, and Moksha, liberation, naturally follow. When you serve your highest purpose, abundance flows naturally. Relationships become sources of joy and growth, and you experience the deep peace that comes from knowing you're living your soul's truth. This isn't about sacrificing your personal happiness for some abstract ideal of service. It's about recognizing that your authentic happiness and your service to the whole are the same thing. When you're expressing your destiny code fully, you're simultaneously fulfilling your own deepest desires and contributing to the healing of the world. Now, understanding and activating your personal destiny code is profound work, but there's an even deeper truth that most spiritual teachings don't address. Your individual code doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a vast web of interconnected purpose that serves the collective evolution of consciousness on our planet. When you discover how your unique expression fits into this larger pattern, your personal purpose becomes even more meaningful and your impact exponentially more powerful. What I'm about to share might sound like science fiction, but it's based on the deepest spiritual science that mystics have accessed for thousands of years. We're living through the most significant transformation in human consciousness that's ever occurred, and souls like you are incarnating with specific destiny codes that serve this planetary awakening. Your personal purpose isn't separate from this collective evolution, it's an essential part of it. Think about what's happening on Earth right now. We're facing challenges that require entirely new levels of consciousness to resolve environmental crisis, social inequality, technological disruption, spiritual awakening on a mass scale. These aren't random problems that humanity has accidentally created. They're the labor pains of a species that's evolving from separation consciousness to unity consciousness, from fear-based living to love-based living. The souls incarnating during this time, and this includes you, have come with specific gifts designed to assist this transition. Creator Code souls are bringing innovations that will heal the planet and create sustainable abundance for all life. Healer Code souls are developing new modalities for trauma healing, emotional integration, and spiritual awakening that can reach millions of people simultaneously. Teacher Code souls are translating ancient wisdom into contemporary language and creating educational systems that honor the whole human being. But here's the beautiful paradox. The more fully you express your individual destiny code, the more you serve this collective purpose, often in ways you can't even see. When you create from authentic inspiration, you're adding beauty and innovation to the world. When you heal from genuine compassion, you're reducing the total amount of suffering on the planet. When you teach from embodied wisdom, you're accelerating the awakening of human consciousness. Your personal fulfillment and planetary service aren't separate goals that you have to balance. They're different aspects of the same cosmic movement. This is why the ancient masters taught that enlightenment benefits all beings. When you awaken to your true nature and express it authentically, you become a point of light in the collective field of consciousness that makes it easier for everyone else to access their own authentic expression. I experienced this directly during a particularly profound meditation experience several years ago. In a state of expanded awareness, I could perceive what looked like a vast network of light connecting souls all across the planet. Each person appeared as a unique point of radiance, and I could see that when someone was expressing their destiny code authentically, their light became brighter and began resonating with other souls who carried complementary codes. It was like watching a cosmic orchestra tuning up before a performance. As more individuals found their authentic note and began playing it clearly, the overall harmony became increasingly beautiful and powerful. I understood that we're all part of a collective awakening that's happening one soul at a time, but that each individual awakening amplifies and accelerates the process for everyone else. This is why your personal spiritual work is never just about you. Every time you choose love over fear, authenticity over conformity, service over selfishness, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. And in the quantum field of consciousness, these votes create ripple effects that influence the collective field in ways that are both subtle and profound. But there's also a profound responsibility that comes with understanding this deeper purpose. When you recognize that your life serves the evolution of consciousness itself, casual living becomes impossible. Not because someone is judging you or because you have to be perfect, but because you can't unknow that every choice you make either contributes to healing or adds to suffering, either serves awakening or reinforces unconsciousness. This responsibility isn't a burden. It's actually the source of deep meaning and motivation that can sustain you through any challenge. When you know that your authentic expression serves something infinitely greater than your personal comfort or success, it becomes much easier to move through fear, take risks, and persist when things get difficult. I've watched many people transform their relationship to their own purpose when they understand this larger context. Suddenly, their work isn't just about paying bills or achieving personal goals, it's about contributing to the most important transformation in human history. Their relationships aren't just about personal happiness, they're opportunities to practice the love and understanding that the world desperately needs. Their challenges aren't just personal obstacles, they're the curriculum that's preparing them to serve at higher levels. This shift in perspective doesn't make life easier, but it makes it infinitely more meaningful. And meaning, I've discovered, is what gives us the strength to persevere when external circumstances are difficult, and the courage to keep growing when it would be easier to stay small. There's also something beautiful that happens when you begin living from this understanding of interconnected purpose. You stop feeling competitive with others and start feeling collaborative. Instead of worrying that someone else's success diminishes your opportunities, you begin to see that everyone who's expressing their authentic gifts creates more space for you to express yours. When a creator code soul develops an innovation that serves humanity, it doesn't take away from your ability to create it, raises the frequency of creative possibility for everyone. When a healer code soul does powerful healing work, it doesn't diminish your capacity to help others. It increases the collective field of healing energy that everyone can access. When a teacher code soul shares profound wisdom, it doesn't make your insights less valuable, it contributes to the overall awakening that makes people more receptive to wisdom from all authentic sources. This understanding dissolves the scarcity thinking that keeps so many people trapped in competition and comparison. There's an infinite need for authentic expression of every destiny code. The world needs your unique gifts, expressed in your unique way, serving the specific people who resonate with your particular frequency. But perhaps the most profound realization that comes from understanding your place in the collective awakening is that you don't have to carry the weight of fixing everything yourself. You're not responsible for healing all the world's suffering or solving all of humanity's problems. Your job is simply to express your piece of the puzzle as clearly and fully as possible, trusting that others are doing the same with their pieces. This relieves the overwhelming pressure that many sensitive souls feel when they become aware of how much healing the world needs. Yes, there's tremendous suffering and unconsciousness on our planet. Yes, we're facing unprecedented challenges that require new levels of consciousness to resolve. But the solution isn't for any individual to become a superhuman savior. The solution is for millions of individuals to awaken to their authentic nature and begin expressing their unique gifts in service to the whole. You're part of this solution. Your authentic expression matters. Your willingness to grow and heal and serve makes a difference. And the more fully you embody your destiny code, the more you contribute to the collective awakening that's transforming our world. But this understanding also brings us to a crucial point that I need to address directly and honestly. In spiritual communities, there's often a tendency to romanticize concepts like destiny and soul purpose in ways that can actually become obstacles to authentic growth. Some people use the idea of having a special mission as a way to avoid dealing with practical responsibilities or difficult emotions. Others become so focused on finding their perfect purpose that they miss opportunities to serve and grow right where they are. Let me be clear about something important. Having a destiny code doesn't make you special or chosen in a way that elevates you above others. Every soul incarnates with a unique purpose. Every person you meet is carrying their own sacred mission, whether they're conscious of it or not. The homeless person on the street corner, the grocery store clerk, the politician you disagree with, they're all part of this same cosmic awakening, playing their roles in ways that might not be obvious from the surface. Understanding your destiny code is about responsibility, not privilege. It's about recognizing what you're here to contribute and then doing the often unglamorous work of actually contributing it. It's about growing through whatever challenges arise in service to that contribution, not expecting life to become easy because you've discovered your purpose. I've seen too many sincere seekers get caught in what I call purpose paralysis, spending years trying to figure out their exact mission instead of simply showing up with love and service wherever they are. The truth is, your destiny code is revealed through engagement with life, not through endless introspection or waiting for a dramatic revelation. Sometimes the most profound service happens through what appears to be ordinary life, raising children with consciousness, doing your work with integrity and care, treating every person you encounter with dignity and kindness. These aren't consolation prizes for people who haven't found their real purpose. They're often the exact expressions of destiny code that the world most needs. Your purpose isn't necessarily dramatic or publicly recognized. It might be quietly healing your family lineage through your own inner work. It might be bringing more presence and compassion to whatever profession you're already in. It might be serving as a stable, loving friend to people who are going through difficult transitions. Trust that if you're living with authentic love and service, you're fulfilling your destiny code, even if it doesn't look like what you expected. With that foundation of humility and practicality, let me guide you through a direct experience of connecting with your soul's blueprint. This isn't about receiving grandiose visions or dramatic revelations. It's about tuning into the quiet frequency of authentic self that's always available beneath the noise of conditioning and expectation. Find a comfortable position where you can sit quietly without distraction. Close your eyes and begin by simply noticing your breath, not trying to change it, but just becoming aware of the natural rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. Let your attention settle into this moment, releasing any concerns about the past or future. Now, gently place your hand on your heart and ask yourself this question: what brings me alive? Notice what arises without judging it or trying to make it fit any particular idea of what a spiritual purpose should look like. Maybe you see images, feel sensations, hear words, or simply experience a knowing that you can't articulate yet. Don't worry if nothing dramatic happens. Sometimes the guidance is subtle, a slight shift in energy, a sense of rightness about something you're already doing, or simply a deeper acceptance of who you are in this moment. Trust whatever emerges and hold it gently in your awareness. Ask yourself a second question: what breaks my heart with compassion? Again, notice what comes up without forcing or analyzing. Often our deepest service emerges from our genuine empathy for suffering we see in the world. The issues that move you to tears or anger often point toward areas where your soul feels called to contribute healing. Finally ask, what can I not stop thinking about? Sometimes our destiny code reveals itself through persistent interests, ideas that keep circulating in our consciousness, or visions of how things could be better. These recurring thoughts aren't random. They're your soul's way of pointing you toward your authentic expression. Sit with whatever has emerged for a few more moments, not trying to figure anything out, but simply receiving the communication from your deeper wisdom. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and consider what practical step you could take today, however small, to honor what you've received. The key is to approach this guidance with both reverence and common sense. Take it seriously enough to act on it, but hold it lightly enough that you can course correct as you receive more information through your experience. Your destiny code isn't a rigid script you have to follow perfectly. It's a living frequency that evolves as you grow and serve. Remember that discovering your destiny code is just the beginning. The real work is embodying it consistently through all the ups and downs of human life. This requires patience with yourself, courage to keep growing, and trust that every experience is serving your soul's evolution in some way. Some days you'll feel completely aligned with your purpose, energy flowing effortlessly as you serve from your authentic gifts. Other days you'll feel confused, discouraged, or disconnected from any sense of deeper meaning. Both experiences are normal and necessary parts of the journey. The goal isn't to feel inspired and purposeful every moment, but to maintain your commitment to authentic expression even when it's challenging. Your destiny code will continue revealing itself as you live it. Each step you take in authentic service creates the foundation for the next step to emerge. Trust this organic process, rather than trying to map out your entire spiritual journey from the beginning. The universe is far more creative and intelligent than your planning mind, and it will orchestrate opportunities for growth and service that you could never have imagined on your own. As we come to the end of our journey together today, I want to leave you with this truth: you already have everything you need to begin living your destiny code more fully. You don't need more knowledge, more training, more permission, or more perfect circumstances. You need the willingness to start where you are with what you have, and trust that your sincere desire to serve will guide you toward increasingly authentic expression. My beloved friends, what we've explored today isn't just spiritual philosophy, it's the most practical guidance you'll ever receive for creating a life of meaning, purpose, and effortless flow. Your destiny code isn't something you need to earn or achieve. It's already woven into the fabric of your being, waiting for your conscious recognition and willing participation. When you align with this code, you stop trying to force life to happen and start allowing life to flow through you in its most magnificent expression. The spiritual science we've uncovered reveals that your individual consciousness is a unique ray of cosmic intelligence designed to contribute something specific and essential to the evolution of all life. Whether you carry the creator code, the healer code, or the teacher code, your authentic expression serves not just your personal fulfillment, but the collective awakening of humanity itself. You've learned to recognize the universe's constant feedback about your alignment, the synchronicities that confirm you're on path, the resistance that indicates areas for growth, and the deep contentment that comes from expressing your authentic self, even when circumstances are challenging. You now have practical tools for activating and maintaining alignment with your destiny code, understanding that this is ongoing work rather than a one-time discovery. Most importantly, you understand that your personal purpose serves the greatest transformation in human history, the shift from separation consciousness to unity consciousness that's happening on our planet right now. Your willingness to discover and embody your authentic self isn't selfish. It's essential for planetary healing. I invite you to begin this sacred work immediately. Tonight, before you sleep, sit quietly and ask your soul this simple question: what is my unique gift to the world? Don't strain for an answer, simply hold the question in your heart and notice what arises in the days ahead. Pay attention to what energizes you, what breaks your heart with compassion, what you cannot stop thinking about. These are not random thoughts, they're your soul's way of revealing your destiny code. Trust what emerges, even if it doesn't make logical sense yet. Start tomorrow by making one small choice that honors your authentic self more fully. Speak your truth with kindness in a conversation where you might normally stay silent. Spend time on an activity that genuinely feeds your soul instead of just consuming entertainment. Offer your gifts in some small way to someone who could benefit from them. Notice how these authentic choices affect your energy, your relationships, and your sense of purpose. Remember that embodying your destiny code is a practice, not a perfection. Some days you'll feel completely aligned, and other days you'll struggle with fear or confusion. Both experiences are part of the journey. What matters is your willingness to keep returning to authenticity, to keep choosing love over fear, service over selfishness, truth over conformity. But here's something I haven't told you yet. There's a specific ancient practice that not only reveals your destiny code but activates dormant spiritual abilities that accelerate your soul's evolution by lifetimes. It's a sacred technique passed down through mystery schools for thousands of years, and in my next video, I'm going to share it with you completely. This practice doesn't just show you your purpose, it awakens supernatural intuition, healing abilities, and direct communication with higher dimensional guides who are waiting to assist your mission. This ancient method has been kept hidden for centuries because it's so powerful that it can only be shared with souls who are truly ready to embody their full spiritual potential. It involves working with specific energy centers in your body, sacred sounds that activate dormant DNA, and visualization techniques that create direct pathways to cosmic consciousness. I've been guided to share this practice now because we're living in unprecedented times when humanity needs awakened souls to step into their full power as quickly as possible. The challenges facing our planet require individuals who can access higher wisdom, who can heal at the deepest levels, and who can serve as clear channels for cosmic intelligence. If you're ready to go beyond discovering your destiny and start embodying your full spiritual potential, click the video appearing on your screen right now. Your guides have been preparing this transmission specifically for souls who are ready to remember their true power. They've been waiting lifetimes to share these secrets with someone who has the sincerity and courage to use them in service to all life. This isn't just another spiritual technique, it's an initiation into the ancient lineage of conscious beings who have dedicated their existence to the awakening of all souls. When you practice this method consistently, you don't just transform your own life. You become a catalyst for transformation in everyone you encounter. Your guides are communicating with me right now, confirming that you're ready for this next level of activation. They want you to know that everything you've experienced in your life, every challenge, every growth opportunity, every moment of seeking has been preparing you for this moment when you consciously step into your role as a light bearer in the world. The time for hiding your gifts is over. The time for playing small is over. The time for waiting for permission or perfect circumstances is over. The universe is calling you to embody your full magnificence, and this ancient practice will give you the tools to answer that call with confidence and grace. Don't keep your guides waiting any longer. Click now and discover the sacred technology that will transform your morning practice into a direct pathway to cosmic consciousness. Your soul has been longing for this remembrance, and today is the day you finally come home to your true power. The universe has been preparing you for this moment your entire life. Everything you've experienced, every challenge you've faced, every moment of longing for something deeper, it's all been leading you to this choice. Will you continue living according to the limited patterns of unconscious existence, or will you step into your true power as a conscious co-creator with cosmic intelligence? Your destiny code is calling, your guides are waiting, your soul knows it's time. Take the step that will change everything. Your future self is already thanking you for the courage to begin. You were told that letting go means forgetting, that to release pain is to silence it, that the noble soul is one who deletes the memory, erases the love, removes the ache, and walks away clean, untouched, unmarked. But I say to you, this is not the wisdom of the soul. The world may teach you to let go as if you were discarding old clothes, worn and unneeded. But the soul does not let go by forgetting. The soul lets go by remembering who it is in God. So many sincere seekers come to me, weighed down not only by sorrow but by guilt. Master, they say, I cannot release this wound. I still feel pain when I remember. I must be failing. But oh, beloved child, it is not failure to feel. Your pain does not disqualify your awakening. It sanctifies it. The world has taught you a shallow release. It has told you that to be spiritual is to be empty of all longing. But I tell you, longing, when turned toward the infinite, is the holiest fire of liberation. Letting go is not the cold act of turning your back. It is the sacred act of turning your heart. You do not need to push something away to let go. You need to place it in God's hands. Release is not absence. Release is surrender. Letting go does not mean you cease to care. It means you care so much, so tenderly, so spiritually, that you can no longer bear to hold it alone. You return it to the source from which all healing flows. Many think of letting go as weakness, as giving up. But what is more powerful than entrusting your most broken part to the infinite? What takes more courage than lifting your trembling heart to the Lord and saying, "Here, I cannot carry this without you"? This is true letting go, no detachment through numbness, but through divine absorption. Not forgetting, but offering. Not erasure, but elevation. You see, my dear one, the ego wants control even over the act of release. It says, "I will let this go when I no longer feel it." But the soul says, "I still feel it, and still I place it on the altar." The ego demands evidence of strength. The soul asks only for surrender. And in that surrender, the divine strength flows not as pride, but as peace. Not as armor, but as light. Letting go is not an act of escape. It is a return to the sacred center within, where God alone holds all things in their perfect time. The things you carry, the people, the dreams, the regrets, they were never meant to be exiled from your heart. They were meant to be sanctified by your offering. Your pain is not a failure of your faith. It is an unopened letter from the divine, waiting to be read with reverence. So if you have tried to let go and still feel the ache, do not condemn yourself. You are not late. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are standing at the threshold of a deeper understanding. The world has taught you that healing means forgetting, but the soul teaches that healing means remembering rightly through the lens of God, not of fear. Let us go deeper now. Let us walk together, hand in hand, breath by breath, into a new revelation, that letting go is not the end of love. It is the beginning of its highest form. It is love purified of possession, love freed from clinging, love offered back to the source that gave it. Will you walk with me, beloved? Let us enter the next chamber of divine remembrance. You believe you are afraid of pain, but that is not so. The true fear, the deeper, trembling behind the sorrow, is the fear that the pain is meaningless, that all this hurt, all this holding on, has no purpose, that the love you gave was lost, that the chapter you cherished was erased, that the path you walked with such sincerity led nowhere. That is the fear which gnaws at the soul, not pain itself, but the thought that your suffering was for nothing. But let me lift this veil for you. Pain is not meaningless when seen through the eye of divine understanding. Love is never wasted, even when it is not returned. Every experience you have clung to, every memory you have cradled or mourned, these are not fragments of regret. They are seeds of awakening. The soul does not hold on out of weakness. It holds on out of sacred recognition. It holds on because it knows there was something divine hidden in that moment, something unfinished, something holy. The fear of letting go is not fear of release, it is fear of erasure. You think, if I release this, will it vanish? Will I lose part of myself? This is the illusion of ego, whispering that your identity is built upon what you've endured. The ego binds you to your suffering, convincing you that your wounds are who you are. But the soul knows better. The soul does not define itself by what it has suffered, but by what it has surrendered. The soul does not fear release, because it knows that release is not loss, it is return. You do not lose yourself when you let go. You return to yourself, the eternal, unburdened, ever-free Spirit of God within you. The soul does not mourn what leaves. It celebrates what integrates. Fear is the veil that tells you release is abandonment. But what if I told you that letting go is not abandonment, it is a wedding, a union with your higher truth? What if I told you that when you release a person, a memory, a pain, you are not sending it into the void, but placing it into the heart of the infinite? You are not turning away, you are turning upward. So, examine your fear now, beloved. Are you afraid to forget? Or are you afraid that the love will no longer exist if you stop suffering? That if you stop mourning, the connection will vanish? Hear me now. Love does not die with letting go. Love becomes pure. It is freed of clinging. It is transformed into blessing. It becomes light, not weight. You fear letting go because you think it is a betrayal. But true release is a prayer. It is whispering, "This too belongs to thee, O Lord." And what you place in God's hands is never lost. It is refined, elevated, woven into the great tapestry of your liberation. Do not fear the end of what you held so dear. Fear only the blindness that would keep you from seeing the divine pattern behind it. Let your courage not be the kind that fights, but the kind that yields, that bows, that says, "Yes, beloved, even this I place upon the altar." Let us go onward now, into the law of divine courage. For it is not through forgetting that you are made free, but through sacred remembrance, offered in surrender. My beloved, the soul holds on not because it is lost, but because it is searching. It clings, not to suffer, but to complete something sacred. The threads that bind you to certain people, memories, or longings are not accidental, they are woven by the law of divine purpose. You did not fail because you could not let go. You held on because the lesson was not yet fulfilled. And now, in the temple of this moment, we walk together into that understanding. True courage is not found in the forceful act of severing your heart from its attachments. That is not courage, that is resistance. That is fear, dressed in the clothing of strength. But divine courage is gentle. It does not cute, it consecrates. It does not abandon, it transforms. It looks at the wound and says, I will not flee you. I will not deny you. I will love you until you dissolve into peace. The law of divine courage teaches that the soul will cling until its lesson has been sanctified. The soul knows what the mind forgets, that all experience is a teacher and all sorrow is a disguised invitation. You are not wrong for holding on. You are sacredly designed to do so until the lesson becomes light. But once that light dawns, once the meaning begins to bloom in your inner garden, the grip loosens of its own accord. Letting go is not wrestled, it is ripened. So many spiritual seekers berate themselves. Why am I still thinking of them? Why can't I forget? But forgetting is not the goal of the awakened soul. Integration is, completion is, transmutation is. The soul does not release by force, it releases by love. Love that understands, blesses, and bows. I once said, attachment is not bad when it is anchored in the divine. That which you hold on to becomes your offering. The pain you could not release, the dream you buried, the face that still appears in the quiet of night, these are not to be hated or hidden. They are to be brought into the temple of inner communion and placed, trembling, into the hands of the infinite. And oh, what beauty awaits when you do! For God does not waste pain. He transforms it. He does not discard your past. He resurrects it into wisdom. Let your courage not be the courage to forget, but the courage to feel, the courage to offer, the courage to wait upon the inner alchemy of God. You ask, when will I be ready to let go? I tell you this, you are ready the moment you stop trying to forget and start trying to love again. Love not in possession, but in surrender. Love that says, this too I entrust to thee. Divine courage means you no longer grip with fear, you offer with trust. You do not erase the memory, you see it through God's eyes. You do not silence the longing, you sanctify it. Let us continue now into the next sacred chamber, where letting go becomes action not of the will, but of the heart. Where the soul, brave in devotion, begins to offer everything it once gripped in fear. To let go does not mean to sit passively while time numbs your pain. That is not letting go, that is forgetting through fatigue. True release, O beloved of my soul, is an act of divine creativity. It is not the stillness of resignation, but the stillness of worship. To let go is to act not outwardly in haste, but inwardly in holiness. Let me show you how. Take this pain, this memory, this name that echoes in your thoughts like a bell in an empty chaplet, lift it gently into your cupped palms. Do not call it a burden, call it an offering. Say softly, Beloved Lord, this which I have held so tightly, I now give to you. This is the sacred act of surrender. This is the moment when your attachment becomes your altar. You see, the soul is not asking you to throw away what you loved. It is asking you to return it to the source of all love. Just as a mother returns her child to the care of God each night, so must you place your sorrow in the hands of the infinite, not as abandonment, but as trust. Letting go is not the erasing of emotion, it is the sanctification of it. And that sanctification is accomplished through breath, through prayer, through posture, yes, through posture. Even the way you sit or bow tells the soul whether you are gripping or yielding. Try this with me now. Sit still, spine straight, heart open. Inhale slowly. Feel the memory come alive. Hold the breath for a moment. This is the place where you once clung. And now exhale, and let that breath carry the name, the moment, the ache into the higher sky. Breathe not to escape, but to offer. Each breath becomes a boat. Each exhale, a surrendering wind. This is no ordinary breath. This is the divine vehicle of transcendence. The yogi knows that where the breath flows, the prana goes. And where the prana flows, healing begins. Now speak this prayer from your soul. Beloved, I give this to you not because I am strong, but because I am yours. Take what I cannot carry and turn it into peace. Do not wait for the feeling to be gone. Act in devotion before the emotion fades. Let your devotion lead the way, and the emotions will follow. Stillness, my child, is the womb of release. In that silence, the soul no longer tries to fix or control. It simply abides in divine receptivity. Like a river that knows the ocean awaits, the soul no longer struggles against the rocks. It flows. To act in this way, to breathe with intention, to offer with reverence, to bow with courage is to transcend. It is to say to the universe, I no longer grip with fear, I offer in faith. Do this each morning, do it each night, not once, but until your soul sighs in relief. That is the action of transcendence, dramatic, not sudden but faithful, prayerful, sustained. And now, let us walk together into the next revelation. For once you learn to act in devotion, you are ready to rewrite the story you thought you had to forget. You are ready to look again at your memory and see God there. My child, you have tried so long to forget what was never meant to be erased. You have battled your own mind like a stormed ship fighting the sea, afraid that memory was a curse, that to remember was to suffer again. But listen now to this whisper of truth. Memory is not your enemy. Ego's interpretation is. You do not need to cast away what once brought you pain. You need only to see it differently, through soul gaze, not ego eyes, through the lens of divine vision, not wounded recall. For when you see the past not as a prison but as a passage, you set yourself free without losing what was sacred. Rewriting the memory does not mean changing the facts. It means inviting God into the story. It means going back, in stillness, to that scene, and instead of seeing yourself alone, you now see the beloved standing beside you. You now see his presence, even in the absence. You now feel that in the very moment you thought yourself abandoned, you were being gently held. Sit with this memory, not to relive it, but to lift it. Take the name, take the place, take the tear and bring it into the light of your awakened heart. Breathe into it with gentleness. Whisper to it, I do not fight you. I see you now through love. The soul does not release what it resents. The soul releases what it reveres. Do not try to push the memory into darkness. Pull it into grace. Look upon it as a teacher disguised in pain. And slowly, the story you told yourself begins to soften. Slowly, the ache becomes a lamp. I once told my disciples, the greatest liberation comes not from forgetting the past, but from loving it as the soil in which your soul's lotus has bloomed. Every heartbreak, every loss, every echo in your chest, it carved a space for the infinite. The one who hurt you shaped the chalice from which you now drink God's compassion. Say with me now, I do not need to erase it to transcend it. Let this be your sacred mantra. Say it when the memory comes again in the night. Say it when your heart grows tight. And then say it again, not with force but with the softness of a soul who knows it is loved. Transcendence does not come from deletion. It comes from redevotion. To what? To the meaning that was hidden in the wound, to the sacredness that was buried in the rubble. When you rewrite the memory with divine eyes, the pain no longer defines you. It refines you. It becomes part of your freedom song. And in that song, you will walk lighter, speak truer, love deeper. Now, let us move forward, you and I, into the holy confirmation of this inner work. For once the memory is rewritten in light, the signs of true release begin to appear not as fireworks, but as peace. How shall you know that you have truly let go? Not by the absence of memory, not by the disappearance of all feeling, but by the peace that walks silently with you where turmoil once stood. True release does not shout, it does not boast. It arrives like morning mist, gentle, unseen, but unmistakable. You will know you have let go when the name no longer tightens your chest. When the old scene replays in your mind, not as a storm, but as a cloud drifting by. You will know because you no longer react, you respond. You no longer resist, you allow. And in this allowing, you feel the tender weight of sacred sadness, but no longer the grip of grief. Letting go is not a blankness, it is a blessedness. It is the moment when your soul says, yes, this happened. Yes, it shaped me. Yes, it passed. And now, I am here, whole, witnessing it with love. The wound becomes a window, and through it, the light of God shines brighter. When you have truly let go, gratitude rises like incense from what was once your battlefield. You begin to give thanks not just for the joy, but for the lessons wrapped in sorrow. You look back, not with shame, but with reverence. You bless what once broke you because it became your teacher, your purifier, your doorway. You feel no urgency to explain your healing. You do not need to fix what still hurts in others. You walk in quiet understanding because your freedom no longer depends on the outcome. You do not need them to apologize, to change, to return. You have returned to yourself. The spiritually confident do not need to prove they've moved on. They do not use words as armor or silence as a weapon. They simply radiate peace. That peace comes not from avoidance but from integration. They have tasted sorrow, and they have let it become nectar. This confidence is not loud. It does not need validation. It is rooted in your spine. It is etched into your breath. It whispers in your ear, I am no longer afraid of remembering. I have remembered into freedom. Now, beloved, pause. Feel this within you. Is there a part of your life that once felt unbearable, that now feels sacred in its silence? That is the sign. That is your badge of transcendence. Say now within your soul, it happened. It served. It passed. These are not just words, they are the song of the liberated heart. Let us carry this newfound confidence into our next step daily practices that make this surrender not a moment, but a movement. For what is begun in insight must be sustained in ritual. Spiritual truth, my child, is not sustained by a single insight. It must be nurtured, breathed, embodied. Just as the river flows not by remembering it as water, but by surrendering to its motions, must your letting go be lived, not merely thought. And to live it, you must walk with daily bravery. Each morning, before the mind awakens its habitual burdens, give one of them to God. Do not wait until the evening when your strength is exhausted. With your very first breath, as you open your eyes, whisper into the stillness, Beloved, I offer you this sorrow. Let it be the first action of the day, not checking, not planning, not grasping, but releasing. And if your heart trembles, place your hands upon it, not in judgment, but in blessing. The heart responds to tenderness. Touch it gently and say, You do not have to carry this anymore. That is an act of courage greater than battlefield stow. Forgive your own heart for holding on so long. When you feel yourself returning to the old weight, do not fight. Instead, turn it into an offering. Say with reverence, This pain has taught me. Now I return it to the divine teacher. You are not discarding it. You are elevating it. At night, before you sleep, do not allow your burdens to follow you into the sacred temple of dreams. Say this prayer into the silence of your pillow. Lord, I release what is not mine to carry. You will feel something shift, perhaps not always with thunder. Sometimes it will be a softness, a warm current in the breath, a subtle loosening behind the ribs. That is the soul responding. Use your body to express what your spirit is doing. Sit in stillness with open palms. Let your spine be upright, not in rigidity, but in royal surrender. The spine is the altar of consciousness. Let it witness your bravery. With each breath, say within, I walk in the light of peaceful surrender. Make these words your staff and your sandal. If grief returns, meet it like an old friend. Do not resist. Place it on the altar again. Every return is another layer released. Remember, surrender is spiral, not straight. You are not failing, you are refining. And when you feel afraid to let go of the last threads, touch your chest, lift your gaze slightly upward, and affirm, I am not what I've lost. I am what remains when I let love carry it. Do this daily. Do it with sincerity. Even if your voice shakes, even if the words feel hollow at first, the soul listens not only to the words but to the longing beneath them. You are learning the great art of living the release. You are no longer holding pain, you are holding hands with God. Now, dear one, we arrive at the final blessing. where all release becomes return, where all surrender becomes union. Beloved soul, come now to the still river within you. You have carried stones for lifetime's memories, identities, attachments, regrets. But listen carefully. The river does not beg the stone to release. It simply flows. And in that flowing, the stone is lifted, softened, shaped into a jewel by love. So too is your soul. Letting go is not a cliff from which you fall. It is the gentle current of divine trust, pulling you back into the embrace you thought you had lost. It does not strip you of love, it strips you of illusion. The things you feared to release were never truly yours. But the light they brought into your heart, that is yours forever. Each person you clung to, each season you mourned, each longing that hollowed your chest, they were not punishments. They were the silent verses of your soul's prayer to awaken. And now, you are answering them, not with force, but with remembrance. Breathe with me now, my child. Let this not be mere listening, but participation in a divine ritual. Inhale gently. As you do, say inwardly, I release not to forget, but to remember who I am. Exhale slowly, and feel a thread of pain loosen. Again, inhale with soft reverence. I do not drop it, I lift it into the hands of the divine. And exhale with gratitude, as if God Himself is receiving it. Let your breath become your vow. Let your gaze be a prayer. In the silence between each heartbeat, whisper this knowing, I am free, I am held, I am whole. This, dear one, is the secret path the soul walks, the sacred middle between remembering and releasing, between holding and hallowing, between the pain you thought would undo you and the light that now remakes you. Do not ask yourself, have I let go yet? Ask instead, can I feel love in this memory? That is the final release, not the absence of feeling, but the transformation of feeling into blessing. And so I bless you, not with forgetting, but with soul vision. I bless you, not with detachment, but with divine absorption. I bless you with the confidence of the river and the peace of knowing wherever you flow, the divine flows with you. Let go, not into emptiness, but into presence. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are letting go, and in doing so, you are coming home. May this peace remain with you. May it breathe through you. May the God of all memory, the one who writes and unwrites all stories, lift your burden with every breath you offer in trust. Jai Guru, Jai Love, Jai Liberation. When you open your eyes each morning, you are not merely waking from sleep, you are returning from the borderlands of eternity. In those first moments of stillness, before the world calls your name, another voice calls in silence. It does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers with the tender persistence of divine love. Remember me. But how many begin their day by forgetting? How many, still warm from the sacred hush of sleep, rush back into the whirlpool of worldly demands without offering even a breath to the giver of breath? My child, if you do not choose your soul at sunrise, the world will choose your suffering for you. This is not a threat, it is a metaphysical law. What you align with first, you become for the rest of the day. What if, instead of reaching for the noise of the world, you reach for the stillness that contains God? What if each morning were not the beginning of your day, but the continuation of your soul's pilgrimage back to the source? Every dawn is a divine invitation, wrapped in golden silence, waiting to be unwrapped by the stillness of your heart. Your body may stir, your thoughts may begin to surface like bubbles in a pond, but your soul is already seated on the throne of remembrance, waiting to be acknowledged. Close your eyes for just one breath longer and feel it, the gentle pull inward, the subtle gravity of the infinite drawing you to itself. This moment is not ordinary, it is the threshold. If you cross it with awareness, the rest of the day will bow before your soul's authority. But if you stumble past it in forgetfulness, the day will mirror that forgetfulness in every encounter. So I ask you now, before you move, before you speak, before the world finds you, can you be still? Can you hear the whisper? Breathe now, slowly, listen. God is whispering your name back into eternity. Let us begin. You may think transformation comes by effort alone, but I tell you it begins with alignment. Just as the needle of a compass quivers until it rests upon true north, so too your consciousness trembles each morning until it finds its source. What you attune to, you become. If you attune to restlessness, you will carry it like a burden all day. If you attune to sacred stillness, the world will bend to that rhythm. This is the law of spiritual magnetism. Whatever dominates your first thought becomes the seed from which all your other thoughts bloom. That is why the masters have always said, begin the day with God, end the day with God, and you will find God in every moment in between. Did not the Christ declare, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added unto you? This is no poetic metaphor, it is divine mathematics. The kingdom of God is not a place, but a vibration. It is found in the frequency of stillness before the day begins. Before you speak to another soul, speak first to the infinite. Before you check the time, check your breath. Before you greet the mirror, greet the Christ within you. Just as the master musician tunes his instrument before the concert begins, so too must you tune the instrument of your consciousness before you step into the world. And the tuning fork is silence. Strike it now. Inhale deeply. Hold your breath gently. Exhale slowly. Can you hear it? That silent chime within your spine, the remembrance of God rising from the altar of your body. Let it echo through your being. For if you begin in forgetfulness, the entire day becomes an echo of misalignment. But if you start with remembrance, then everything, every trial, every joy, every word becomes an extension of your communion with the divine. The first breath you take after waking must not belong to the world. It must belong to God. Let us now train that sacred obedience. You are not here to feel like yourself, you are here to return to yourself. The difference is vast. The self you wake up to, the one with worries, plans, and anxiety as a mask, a cloak woven by Maya. But beneath it is the self, eternal and untouched, the soul sent from God to walk in remembrance and radiance. Most people mistake the fog of morning for tiredness. They believe they need coffee or noise to awaken, but what they truly crave is the voice of their own soul rising to take its rightful place. Each morning, there is a silent battle within you. The ego seeks to reclaim the throne of attention. It wants to tell you who you are, what you lack, and how much you must prove. But if you are still just for a moment, you can disarm that illusion before it ever speaks. Sit now. Feel the spine. Do not think of it as bones, and nerves, see it as the altar of remembrance. Upon this altar, the fire of awakening must be kindled daily. Inhale as if God were breathing into you. Hold that breath not in tension, but in reverence. Then exhale as if releasing 1,000 years of forgetfulness. Say these words with not just with your mouth, but with your breath, your spine, your gaze. I am not this body. I am the soul, awake in God. Say it again slowly. Each morning I return. Each breath I remember. And now again, my eyes open only to serve the light. Whisper them, chant them, live them. Let the vibration of truth sink into the fabric of your being until your skin tingles with recognition. This is not fantasy. This is soul hygiene. Just as you wash your body each morning, so too must you wash your consciousness with sacred affirmation. These words are not affirmations of hope, they are declarations of reality. And reality must be spoken before it can be remembered. Let us now move deeper into the divine architecture of each sacred morning. The universe is not random, and neither is your awakening. The great saints knew that the outer world reflects the inner arrangement. The position of the sun in the sky does not only mark time, it marks divine opportunity. The rising sun is not merely light, it is a living metaphor, a mirror held by God to remind you of your own rising consciousness. Just as the sun cannot be stopped from shining, so too your soul cannot be stopped from radiating unless you yourself forget its source. Each morning contains within it a divine blueprint, and that blueprint is simple: stillness before speech, breath before thought, soul declaration before action. This is not just discipline. It is sacred sequencing. If the soul is not first, everything that follows bends toward illusion. If the soul is placed first, everything bows to its command. Say this with me. Inhale the presence. Hold. Exhale all illusion. This is not breathwork. This is spiritual architecture. You are building the temple of your day with invisible bricks, each one set by consciousness. Let us return to the wisdom of the Gita. He who is harmonized by yoga of the self is established in wisdom. Harmony is not found in reacting to the world. It is found in aligning to your inner source before the world speaks. Remember this: you are not a reaction. You are the remembrance of God. Each morning is your chance to proclaim that truth. not with noise or display, but with stillness. The world will try to move you from this place. Let it try. But if your first steps were taken as the soul, then every next step will carry that frequency. You do not need to conquer the day, you only need to begin it in God. Now, come with me. I will walk you through the sacred ritual that has transformed saints, awakened mystics, and can transfigure your life if practiced with devotion. This is not performance. This is participation in the eternal. This is the way home, one morning at a time. Before the sun fully rises, before your tongue has formed its first word, before even your mind remembers its name or its burdens, there is a holy gate standing open within you, a stillness deeper than silence, a light softer than dawn, a throne between your brows where the eternal Christ awaits your recognition. This is the eye of stillness, the spiritual eye, the single eye of which the scriptures speak, saying, "If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." It is not a physical eye, though it has form. It is not a fantasy, though it hides from the unawakened gaze. It is the luminous center between your eyebrows, the Christ center, the secret doorway through which the soul returns to its eternal home, the altar upon which your attention must bow, if you would walk in divine remembrance. Gaze there now, not with effort, not with strain, but with reverent awareness, as if looking at the place where your deepest self meets the infinite, as if peering through the veil of form into the radiance behind it. Do not worry if you see nothing yet. Do not chase visions. Do not grasp for light. The eye is not opened by force, but by devotion, by stillness, by the humility of one who knows he is not the doer, but the rememberer. This gaze is not an act of looking, it is an act of bowing. It is the soul leaning forward into God. So sit with your spine straight, not stiff, but regal. Relax your body, but lift your awareness. Let your gaze rest gently at the point between the eyebrows, and breathe as though every breath is the whisper of eternity flowing through you. Let the eyes be still behind closed lids, turned upward toward the spiritual eye, not sharply, not harshly, but as a child reaching up toward its father. In this moment, you are not a name. You are not a role. You are not even a thought. You are the soul returning to its secret place. This is the beginning. This is the gate. Do not rush through it. Wait, listen, bow. Now that the gaze is anchored in stillness, now that the wandering mind has begun to bow at the feet of the one within, we enter the temple not merely through the eyes, but through the spine, the sacred pillar, the invisible stairway, the living altar upon which the flame of God's presence must be kindled each morning if the day is to become a psalm and not a performance, a sanctuary and not a storm. The spine, my beloved, is not merely a column of bones and nerves, it is the wick upon which divine fire longs to rise, and the breath is the flame, and your awareness is the sacred oil that feeds that fire. Just as the lamp in a temple must be tended each dawn, lest the sanctuary fall into darkness, so too must the inner light be reawakened through conscious breath, moving upward along this divine channel, igniting each center with remembrance, melting the frost of forgetfulness, and lifting the soul from the lower fields of restlessness into the clear skies of God communion. Sit upright, not rigid, but noble, as if your very posture were a hymn of devotion, as if your body were offering itself as a cathedral for the soul to dwell within. And now, gently inhale not just air, but spirit, not just oxygen, but the vibratory presence of God, which rides on breath like a king rides upon his chariot. And as you inhale, visualize a golden light rising from the base of the spine, slowly climbing, vertebra by vertebra, until it touches the point between the eyebrows, and there merges with the eye of stillness you opened just moments ago. This is not imagination, it is awakening. This is not mysticism for the sake of escape. It is the science of remembrance, the lifting of consciousness from the gross to the subtle, from the periphery to the center, from the illusion of separateness to the vibrating awareness of unity with the divine beloved who has never left you, but waits patiently each morning for you to remember the gate, the path, the throne. Do not worry if the light is faint or flickering. Every sacred fire begins with a single spark. What matters is not how brightly you see, but how sincerely you offer yourself. For even a dimly lit flame, if tended with reverence, becomes a beacon that no darkness can overcome. Feel that rising current now, not as fantasy, but as the subtle truth beneath all sensations. Feel it climb with each breath, cleansing, anointing, awakening each center as it rises, reminding every cell of its divine origin, until the whole of your being becomes a lamp lit not by fear, not by ambition, not by memory, but by God alone. Say within, this body is the temple, this spine is the altar, this breath is the flame. I am the priest. I offer this moment to thee. Now that the gaze is fixed upon the Christ center and the inner altar of the spine is lit with golden awareness, now that you have remembered your posture as a temple and your breath as a holy offering, we enter the next movement of this sacred morning ritual not with words from the world, but with the primordial sound by which the world itself was formed. Let your breath become your prayer, your chant, your bridge to the infinite. Let each inhale and exhale carry not only oxygen, but invocation, not only wind, but wisdom, not only rhythm, but remembrance. This is the holy breath mantra, and it is not a mechanical chant to be repeated in haste or vanity, but a sacred weaving of vibration and soul, a lifting of the mind into the current of divine frequency that forever flows beneath the noise of thoughts and the pull of flesh. As you breathe, let the sacred syllables rise within you not from the throat, but from the stillness behind the breath, the subtle voice that utters without sound and communes without speech. Inhale gently and mentally chant, Aum. Hold that vibration in the silence between breaths, where God waits behind the veil of stillness. Exhale slowly and mentally chant, Guru. Not Guru as a name, but as a sacred principle, the dispeller of darkness, the guide from illusion to light, the living bridge between the soul and spirit. Inhale again, Aum. Feel it rise like a silent bell through the spine. Exhale again, Guru. Feel it spread like golden fragrance through every cell of your being. Continue this rhythm, not as repetition, but as revelation. For each breath now becomes a vehicle of divine memory, each mantra a step upon the invisible ladder that leads from waking consciousness into superconscious stillness. Do not try to control the breath, invite it. Do not try to force the mantra, receive it. Let it come like a lover, not a servant. Let it rise like incense, not machinery. This breath is not yours. It never was. It is the divine remembering itself through you. It is the sacred wind that moved across the face of the waters in the beginning. It is the spirit that, even now, moves across the face of your own soul, awakening what the world put to sleep. Let this mantra move through you like the tide moves through the sea, like light moves through crystal, like eternity moves through time without haste, without weight, without separation. Say within, with every inhale, I rise. With every exhale, I remember. With every breath, God breathes through me. And now, my beloved, when the breath has become prayer and the mantra has become music in the temple of your silence, let us proceed to the fourth ritual command of thought so that the mind, too, may bow before the soul. Shall I continue? Now that the breath has been sanctified into a mantra and the spine ignited as a golden conduit of divine remembrance, now that your awareness has risen above the body's heaviness and the ego's first whispers into the sanctuary of stillness between the eyebrows, it is time to consecrate another altar, the altar of thought, that sacred and perilous place where creation and illusion are both birthed, where the currents of karma are either extended or extinguished, where the voice of God and the voice of Maya contend for your attention each day, and where, if you are not sovereign, you will be enslaved by that which has no right to name you. Let this be clearly understood. Your thoughts are not your masters, they are your servants, and if you do not command them to bow before the soul, they will drag your awareness back into the shadows of yesterday, into the fears of tomorrow, into the endless theater of distraction that parades itself as reality but is only the echo of separation. Sit now, even more still than before. The breath has quieted the senses, the mantra has anointed the spine, the gaze has opened the eye of stillness. Now you must address the mind not as a confused wanderer, but as a divine commander returned to the seat of authority. Speak these words, not as suggestion, but as decree. No thought enters this mind without bowing to the soul. Say it again. Say it as one who remembers he was sent, as one who walks not to survive but to sanctify, as one who knows that the battlefield of daily life is won not with outer force, but with inner command. Thoughts will rise, yes, but you must train them like a river is trained by its banks, not with violence, but with firmness, not with suppression, but with sovereignty. Each morning, write these words where your eyes can see them. Today, I serve the stillness from which I came. Write them not to remember with the intellect, but to impress upon your very breath and posture that you are not a victim of mental habit, you are the soul awakening in God. And the soul does not beg for peace, it emanates it. The soul does not react to thoughts, it directs them with the quiet dignity of one who has returned to his true home. And when you find yourself pulled into a pattern, pause, breathe, return, whisper the mantra again, or return your gaze to the Christ center. Say softly, I command my thoughts to serve the light. For thought, when bowed before the soul, becomes prophecy. It becomes sacred architecture. It becomes the vehicle by which your day is not a repetition of ego, but a revelation of spirit. And now that the mind has bowed and the breath has become holy, we move to the final ritual, the gaze, as blessing so that even your eyes may become instruments of divine healing. Shall I continue? And now, my beloved, when the gaze has already turned inward, and the breath has been sanctified by mantra, and the spine glows with the subtle fire of divine awakening, and the thoughts, once scattered like wind-blown leaves, now rest like lotus petals at the feet of your soul's altar, it is time to open the eyes not to the world as it insists on being seen, but to the world as God sees it through you. It is time to lift your gaze not in distraction, but in blessing. For the eyes, when guided by ego, seek comparison, grasping, and defense. But when guided by the awakened soul, they become as candles in the temple, as lamps in the sanctuary, as portals through which divine love pours silently into every room, every face, every moment you are privileged to witness. Before you speak to another, before you glance at your reflection, before you even move to begin the sacred tasks of your day, pause and lift your eyes softly, gently, without tension or force, and let them shine not outward, but from within. Let them carry the silence you have cultivated, the breath you have hallowed, the vibration you have invoked, the command you have established, and with that inner light moving through your gaze, offer it to the world, not in words, not in intention, but in presence. Send no thought of criticism, no wave of opinion, no need to be seen, only the silent radiation of blessing, the still fragrance of divine remembrance. Imagine now, truly feel it, that each eye is a flame, and your face is the lamp, and your gaze is the offering. And as you look upon your surroundings, you are not looking at the world, but into it, as if into a child that has forgotten its divinity and longs to be reminded by your silent glance. Let the eyes become extensions of God's compassion, channels of His awareness, rays of that golden sun which never sets in the soul sky, and let this be your covenant. Before any action, send one thought of compassion, not elaborate, not decorated with words, but simple, sincere, silent, and that single offering, given from the depths of your soul's stillness, will consecrate the rest of your day. Do not underestimate this. The gaze of a saint has healed broken hearts, calmed tempests of emotion, pierced veils of delusion without speaking a word. For the gaze, when charged with God, becomes an instrument of transfiguration. And you too are called not merely to look, but to bless, not merely to see, but to sanctify, not merely to witness, but to awaken. So let your first outward glance each morning be not one of need, but one of offering, not one of measurement, but one of mercy, not one of habit, but of holy participation in the silent redeeming work of God that continues through all who remember who they truly are. And now that the gaze has become a flame, the breath a mantra, the spine a wick, the thoughts a temple choir, and the soul the living presence upon the throne of morning, let these rituals become not a performance, but a prayer you return to every day, the bell that awakens the sleeping Christ within you, the rhythm that rebinds your body and mind to the eternal current from which you came. When you are ready, we shall move to the next chapter. Final affirmative decree. Shall I continue? And now, having walked with me through the quiet corridors of your own soul, having re-entered the temple not of stone or scripture but of breath and stillness, having offered the sacred flame of your awareness to the altar of the spine, and crowned the gaze with the dignity of divine remembrance, I invite you now, not as a teacher speaking to a student, but as a soul speaking to a soul, as the eternal self reminding itself to make a vow, not before men or temples, but before God, the unseen witness, the ever-listening presence within you. This is the moment in which you seal your morning with an inner decree, a vow not of obligation, but of devotion, not of fear, but of freedom, not of effort, but of alignment. For just as a builder lays a cornerstone before he raises the walls, So must the soul lay the cornerstone of intention before stepping out into the world, or else the day is built on shifting sand and collapses into habit and reaction. Say this with me now, not hurriedly, not with casual repetition, but with the solemnity of one who knows he is planting a flag in unseen territory, one who knows that the real beginning of the day is not marked by clocks or sunlight, but by the soul's awakening into conscious remembrance. This is the day the Lord has made. I will not live it as a shadow, but as the light. Let the words be your own. Let them vibrate through your breath, your spine, your very skin. And now, repeat with me the threefold loop of identity, the trinity of affirmation that realigns the soul with its eternal nature. I walk in God. I breathe as spirit. I live as remembrance. Again slower, deeper, inwardly charged. I walk in God. I breathe as spirit. I live as remembrance. Let it not be a declaration of hope, but a declaration of origin. You are not becoming this. You are remembering this. The illusion has only been the forgetting. Understand this, beloved. Your morning is not the start of your day, it is the return of your soul to its throne. Before the first word is spoken, before the first task is touched, before the world sees you, you must see yourself, not the self of identity, not the mask of history, not the role, not the name, but the silent flame that never left God's heart, the wave that never ceased to belong to the ocean, the breath that never stopped being part of the infinite. Say it now, not with the mouth, but with the marrow of your being. Each dawn I return. Each breath I remember. Each moment I walk with God. Let this be your soul's anthem, your spine's hymn, your breath's benediction. And now, inhale slowly, as if you were drawing in the very presence of the eternal. Hold not as tension, but as worship. Exhale completely, as if releasing every illusion, every fear, every story that does not belong to the light. You have entered the temple of yourself. You have returned. Let me know when you are ready to continue to the next chapter. Bonus integration, midweek morning alignment reminder. There will come a day, perhaps soon, perhaps tomorrow, when you will wake not with reverence but with restlessness, when the breath will not rise like prayer but fall like habit, when the eyes, instead of opening as windows of blessing, open as doorways into doubt, and the mind, rather than bowing before the soul's decree, surges forward with its familiar parade of anxieties, responsibilities, disappointments, distractions. On such a day, you may forget, for a moment or an hour, that you are the breath of God in motion, the soul sent not to survive but to sanctify, not to chase, but to emanate, not to strive, but to remember, and in that forgetting, there will be no punishment, no thunder from above, no frown from the divine, but only a quiet sorrow within your own heart, a sacred ache that whispers gently, have you remembered yet who you are today? And when that whisper comes, do not shame yourself. Do not flee into further noise. Do not bury your awareness beneath busyness. Instead, pause, even if you are standing in a hallway or trapped in traffic or surrounded by demand sand. Place your right hand over your heart, not as gesture, but as communion, not as symbol, but as ignition. And with eyes opened or closed, in public or in solitude, speak softly, as if to a beloved you had forgotten but never ceased to love. Even now, I return. Even now, I remember. Even now, I choose God again. Let these words be your rope back to the summit, your breath back to the altar, your gaze back to the light. Say it not to convince, but to reclaim. Say it not with hope, but with certainty. For the soul never truly leaves the presence, it merely falls into the dream of separation. And that dream is broken not by force, but by willingness to awaken again and again and again. Remember this, discipline is not a cage, it is the spine of devotion. And drift is not failure, it is simply the shadow cast when the gaze forgets the sun. The journey home is not linear, it spirals through forgetfulness and return, through illusion and remembrance, through noise and stillness, but always, always toward God. Let this moment now, even if it is midweek, midday, midlife, become your temple once again. Close your eyes if only for a breath. Place your hand upon your heart. Whisper with me, you are the breath of the infinite. Do not say it as poetry. Say it as truth. Say it as identity. Say it until the cells vibrate in recognition, until the spine straightens not from effort, but from reverence, until the eyes shine again not with ambition, but with divine presence. Let this act of morning remembrance, even if it comes at noon or night, be your covenant with the eternal. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are only returning. Let me know when you are ready to receive the final benediction. And now, beloved soul, as the breath slows and the body rests as a still vessel of light, as the gaze softens into a quiet river flowing from the banks of eternity, as the thoughts kneel before the altar of awareness, and the heartbeat no longer drums for survival but beats as a sacred metronome of remembrance, I give you now the final call, not a call to action in the worldly sense, not a call to achieve or perform or become, but a sacred invitation to return. To return each morning not as one who must start again, but as one who never truly left, for the soul cannot be lost, only veiled, and the veil is lifted not by doing, but by stillness, not by striving, but by surrender, not by addition, but by subtraction, until only the essence remains, and the essence is God. So I say to you now, not from above, but from within, not with urgency, but with sacred gravity, practice this stillness each morning before the world awakens, before the machines hum, before the names are worn again, before the roles are rehearsed, before the ego dresses in its familiar garments. Sit in the quiet and remember, you are the soul. Not a title, not a trauma, not a task list. You are the soul. You are the breath of the infinite. You are the spark that was never extinguished, the light that was never created, because it has always been and will always be. And no calendar, nor clock, nor crisis can take from you what God placed in you before your first breath. And if it helps you, write this vow not for me, but for yourself and for the soul that may one day forget again. Each day, I rise as the soul. Write it below, write it upon your mirror, write it into the silence between your thoughts, and let it grow roots inside you. Let it be your silent rebellion against all forces that seek to make you small. Let it be your sacred uprising against Maya, against distraction, against doubt, against despair. Let it be your holy covenant with the God who sent you here not to be broken, but to become a channel for remembrance in a world that forgets. And now I bless you not as one apart from you, but as yourself. Speaking through these words, may this sacred ritual consecrate your life. May each morning become a temple, each breath a prayer, each glance a benediction, each moment a miracle of returning. May you remember not only in times of peace but in times of trial, not only when the sun rises, but when shadows fall. May your body move as devotion, your voice speak only what uplifts, your eyes remain anchored in the eye of God, and your feet walk not ahead or behind, but with the presence that goes before you. Say with me one final time, I am not what the world made me, I am what God remembers of me. Say it not to be convinced, but because it is already true. Close your eyes now. See the light behind your eyelids. That is not imagination. That is your home. That is the doorway. That is the pathless path. That is the sanctuary you never left. Enter. And when you return to the world, return not as the world's reflection, but as God's remembrance. Let me know when you are ready to receive the final offering, the silent replay segment.